Hello everyone, and welcome back. It is time for the second round of the highly anticipated endurance series. I have been looking forward to this for 3 weeks, of course, because, we've all been missing Formula One, and joining me for the action, as always, Unicorn, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Chef. Very, very excited to be back here for the 100% race or endurance. Like you said, obviously, that means that real life Formula One is back on our screens. It's been a little while. It feels like a while, but it's only been 3 weeks. But yeah, very excited for this to get underway. We've got a full grid of 20 drivers for the endurance. Obviously, loads of people want to participate in this one, but China, it's been a while since we've seen this one. And I imagine it's been a while since most of these drivers have driven around the Shanghai International Circuit. So very exciting. We'll see who's come the most prepared and who's got that, endurance, as the name suggests, to succeed here for a, 100% race.
Well, it is a very long race around here. Shanghai, 16 turns, the very long back straight, and as you said, not a lot of the drivers have had a ton of time around here. We've moved ourselves into now, soon round 13 of the MRL season, and we've just wrapped up Silverstone. Well, we haven't wrapped it up. We'll be wrapping that up tomorrow with the Asia Pacific division. APAC will be racing around Silverstone, and as well as Formula 2. Next week we'll go to Hungary, but now we're seeing China, where we saw early in the season all the grids go through, and it was a lot of fun racing around China. We'll see what we get in this 100% endeavor, where we have a mixture of pretty well all the tiers and divisions. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of pockets of racing in this one, and we'll have an idea of the weather when we get into things. I do believe we're going to have a pretty well clear campaign, but it is going to be an 18-minute qualifying, 100% race distance, full damage, strict corner cutting. So it is essentially a double distance MRL race, Unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think, China shouldn't pose too much of a threat in terms of penalties, realistically, in terms of, track limits around here. They're pretty solid. Maybe coming out of that last corner, there could be a few problems there for a few of the drivers, but mostly the corners around here are fairly forgiving in where you can turn 10 as well. You might pick up a few through there, and given that 100% race, when that lapse of concentration comes in, that's when you see a few. But the track limits around here work fairly well, and I think a lot of people, when we changed it from last season, where we were having those lenient corner cuttings in the endurance series, I think this track probably doesn't get affected by that too much.
No, it's a very straightforward circuit with a very clear run around all of the turns, where you're not going to have a lot of these penalties. I don't even know what the probability of safety car could be here. Of course, we'll have safety car in these races as well, but of course, let's take you through this grid, everyone, as we need to get familiar. We're about to jump into a 100% distance race. Tuptus will be here with us in the Mercedes. Baza for Renault. Williams over at Ferrari. Remco Van Putten is here for Haas. Daniel Monaf, aka Adam, in the AlphaTauri. We have Captain Minor in the other Haas, partnering Remco. Sindako in one of the Racing Points. We have Neon on the grid today in 8th position there on the timing tower. He is in his usual McLaren. Dark on the grid in a Williams. Domi is here for Renault. Will Gibson in a Williams. We'll see how he does today with Alex Budd behind him in the Red Bull. Some idiot on the grid today. He is in the other Racing Point. We have Dason for Mercedes. Henners over at Red Bull. Four-door sedan for McLaren. Maka at Alfa Romeo with Squid at AlphaTauri. Yasko in the other Ferrari with Brainstew rounding out the grid.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the safety cars. Freeware came across in chat. It should be fairly hard to bring one out here because of just how far away the walls are from the track itself. And VSCs, I think, are more plausible because of how that is situated. But you can get, the occasional rogue crash maybe coming out of the last corner in particular. That's a strong place to bring out a safety car. Someone makes a mistake coming out the last corner, spins a bit too fast and hits the inside wall.
I would appear to have some kind of visual glitch on my end here. I'm gonna try to I'm going to be back in a moment to see if I can get that figured out, because I have a massive cloud of black smoke coming out of these exhausts. I don't know if you can see it on your end, or if it's just my end.
I think it's just your end. It's a very
That is
weird
super weird.
visual bug there, but yeah, everyone else on my screen, it's all fine at the moment. And it's looks like it's the Alpha Tauri of Daniel Manaf. Who are we going first in the qualifying here? Shanghai. That horrible gearbox glitch.
Trying to look at the gearbox, or sorry, the exhaust of these cars, and it's just not giving me the appropriate visual here. I'm gonna go ahead and restart my my game there. I'm happy these things, well, happen under qualifying. I'm not happy they happen, but I'm happy they go under qualifying.
Yeah, it's best for it to get out the way before the racing action kicks off. Meanwhile, qualifying still very much underway. Daniel running very, very wide coming out of turn 10. Manages to keep it valid, though, just by using all of the off-track. I can't imagine this is going to be his best lap of the evening. His teammate for tonight, Squid, not too far behind him either.
I didn't restart the game. I'm going to try get in, and we'll troubleshoot this. We have a little bit of time. It's a long race. It's a 18-minute qualifying. It's Shanghai. Yeah, it's still there. Something in the graphics. Turn off.
Yeah, particle effect, something like that. Meanwhile, our first time has been set at 130.3. Squid comes across with a 129.8, so half a second than his teammate. As we have a look, who else is qualifying? Maka, invalidated lap to the line, so he won't be setting a time. Alex Budd, he goes third quickest at 130.5. Hennes in the other Red Bull, he was invalid, so there are a few invalidations coming out of this track. Meanwhile,
good call on the particles.
Rainsuit Domi, a 129.7, a late run here into it, but a 129.4 coming out of topless.
All right, we are back without a bunch of exhaust and engine failures seemingly happening on all of the vehicles. Neon now comes across a 29.1.
A nice time from him. He's been doing excellently so far. He's on a real run of form right now. Qualifying in particular, he has been very, very fast on that one lap pace. And his consistency's been improving as well, so I think this is really sort of the ultimate test, to put that improved consistency into a 100% race. It's a lot harder than a 50% race, I think it's fair to say. So we'll see how he does this evening.
So many different drivers out on the grid right now.
Yeah, only about half of the drivers setting lap times in the first third of the session. Obviously, there's still plenty of time, but it's not a short lap here, so you've got to take your opportunities while they're there. I think most of them, though, invalidations are the problem there. Williams, Samidia, Hennes, Maka, all these drivers, they've been on laps, they just haven't successfully slotted one in yet. And Darko right now, he's getting a nice toe off of Neon here. Well, I'm not sure if Neon's flying. I don't think Neon saw him there as he came down into the hairpin.
I don't know about that one. That was pretty touch and go there.
Oh, Dark's out. What's happened here? Is that a crash?
Well, I'm trying to get an idea. Who was that involved? Well, Alex
Budd and Dark, I think, have come together somehow.
Well, Alex Budd has no visible damage on the front end of his car.
Very, very weird, but Dark, unfortunately, 131.7. Best time he's got for us because he's not going to be able to set a faster lap time than that one.
Thank you very much to Thermal F1 Racing for the raid. Sorry to interrupt you there, Unicorn. They have just come through, and glad to have you with us for a Chinese Grand Prix.
Yeah, the more the merrier, and well, we've got plenty of racing action left to go. That's fair to say. 10 minutes left in qualifying, and the full 100% distance race still yet to come. Remco Van Putten right now. He's flying down towards the line. Some idiot again failing to set a time. I'm wondering whether with the amount of laps he's done on those tires, whether he's actually just waiting to set a lap on mediums, Jeff, because he's been going around quite frequently on those softs. Remco, though, on the mediums, to see where his pace goes, a 130.8, and I think the mediums, they might be a popular starting tire here. Obviously, the 100% distance strategies. Everyone in league racing usually focuses on the 50% strategies. And most tires should just scale appropriately, basically double the lifetime. But the medium tires, a pretty popular choice here at Shanghai in the 50% races. So I imagine that will carry over in some respects, Striff, to the endurance here.
Yeah, on board now with Will Gibson coming down the back straight into the hairpin. Bit of a struggle coming through the third sector. We'll see what time he is able to get coming through the hairpin. He is on the medium compound tires, as you mentioned. Remco on the same tires. Coming through now, turn 16. See what he's able to do here. P13. It was a 32.463, the slowest time on the board thus far. Although he is on the mediums.
Yeah, if that was me, I think that's an indication that, time to get onto the softs. Because I think with the softs, he might be able to, close the gap a bit to, his teammate Dark's time, Brainstew's time a little bit. Brainstew's just gone faster, actually, on 4-lap-old softs. He's really putting in laps. Again, I think he's someone who's just waiting to go on a medium run.
Trying to figure something out technical here. Henner's on a flyer now in the Red Bull.
He should have one. Fingers crossed he can get back in. But Henner's, like you said, flying in that Red Bull through Sector 2 right now. We'll see what sort of lap time he can put in. He hasn't set a time yet, and a few invalidations have been sort of plaguing him. And there, straight into the wall, Jeff.
Yeah, he's not going to be having a good time there at all. Got to be careful. Good man, Henry. Careful there, but that's going to hurt him.
Big chunk of damage on that front wing as well, so he's going to limp back to the pit lane. Fingers crossed he can do so. The Squid goes fourth fastest, 129.7, half a tenth found for him. Toptus, he's invalidated his current run.
Take a look at the gaps on the grid right now from first down through sixth position. 1 second the gap. Yellow flag sparking up throughout the grid right now. Slow mover here coming through sector 1, the Haas. I believe that's Captain Minor. Squid on his in lap now. Fiasco and the Ferrari coming out of turn 16. What's the Ferrari able to do here? On the medium compound tires, 2.5 off the leader. It was a 31.625.
Yeah, not a terrible time for those compounded tires, but Remco quite a bit fast off Auto Sedan. He improves by half a second, 130.9 for the McLaren. Doesn't move him up too much though, in terms of where he was on that leader. In fact, I don't actually think it moved him at all because of the sort of separation we've got there in that mid-pack right now. Neon's invalidated his latest run. Sindaku then See what he can do as he comes through this long right-hander of turn 12 and coming into 13. It's 2 corners. That's one long nose on now onto this huge straight down into the hairpin at turn 14. The racing point, hurtling in, braking just after the 100-meter braking board into the hairpin. He goes a little lock up, but nothing too bad that will impact his lap time poorly. Now through the final corner, what can he do? DRS enabled to the line, and there you go. Provisional pole, half a second, found a 128.8.
Very nice time there from Sindako. Very nice time indeed. Maka on an outlap. A few drivers also on outlaps. Some idiot Baza now on an outlap. Will Gibson on an outlap. We'll take a look at who we can find flying. Four-door looks like he is not on a run. Captain Minor in the Haas. Coming through Sector 2 right now. He's looking to improve on a 131.597.
Yeah, not a bad time from him so far in that Haas, but he's found a little bit of time here through the first 2 sectors. But he needs to find a bit more if he wants to climb this timing tower right now, because there is a bit of a disparity between himself and four-door sedan ahead of him, 6/10. So it's a mountain to climb for him. Into the hairpin for the Haas driver, and it's pretty clean through there. Through into the final corner now, out of there. DRS enabled, what can it be? It's 3/10 chance, so not a bad improvement, but doesn't move him up the timing tower. And this is something we've seen so far in this session. Really affording anyone that much room for improvement. Some idiot now. He's lots of fresh mediums. We're in that final 5 minute. And I think this is his sort of one shot, so to speak. He doesn't have that fuel warning light on, so I think he's given himself enough for another run if he needs it. See if he has to fall back on it.
Taking a look at Baza right now. He's finally getting a run through coming down the long straight. The hairpin now. Coming into turn 16. Big run out wide. Stays valid. 33.137, the first run from him. Yellow flag through just between sector 2 and 3, the split. Idiot.
That's just one of the Hasses letting somebody get by here on that flight. Also, there's a surprising amount of people in the pit lane right now. I don't know if our clock is desynced, but they haven't got too long until they need to be getting out for that final run if they want it.
I don't believe we have any desync, but I agree with you. There's quite a few drivers sitting in the pit lane right now. We see now Tuptus Squid on outlaps, Brain Stew, Jason. Here comes some idiot to the line, pushing. 7th position, a 30.4 on the mediums. The only driver on the mediums now, other than Remco in the top 10. Remco, he's on a set of mediums right now. I think looking to maybe improve. Nope, he won't be improving.
It's a really nice time from some idiot there. Rainster as well. He's up big time on his previous best. He's already brought himself into the 130s just with Sector 1 alone. And this could be a monster lap from the Alfa Romeo. Teammate Maka just looking to finish a lap as well, by the way, or he's flying straight into the pit lane. But it's Brain Stew on for one hell of a lap here if he can stitch it all together.
A bit of an issue on the exit there.
And a few people a bit shaky out of a few of these corners. Don't know if it's set up. So is that a Williams? What is going on here? Will Gibson is stopped on the long straight. Not sure what he's doing. But Brain Stew around through the final corner. The Alfa Romeo. 7th place, beats somebody at time by 3/10. That is a very, very good lap. He'll be happy with that one, I imagine. On the mediums, puts him fastest on that compound. And if he stays in that top 10, that's a dangerous place for everyone else around him for him to be starting. Sindako, he's called it quits, a 128.8. His best. Neon's on an outlap. If we don't have desync, he's not going to make it to the
Not a
line.
chance. Yeah, he's going to be out for nothing here. Yeah, there's no way. Will Gibson, it looks like he was slowing down on that back straight, letting everybody by, but he's invalidated his run, Unicorn.
And validations, there's been more than I was expecting. Neon's going again, so I imagine that there is desync. Yeah, there is desync coming across in the chat. Thank you, Rutanius, for that one. So Neon is flying in that McLaren, and he hasn't caught that flag. So we'll just have to wait and see what he can produce here.
Well, that does make a little bit more sense, doesn't it?
Top dust. Yeah, nice lap from him. 29 flat. Neon already set to beat that though. He's found a 10th through sector 1. We're now through 8 into 9. Really getting that car switched around for those corners. Very clean through that section, using all of the exit curbing as well as he comes out of 10. Oh, a little bit of a slide though through 11. That back end just stepping out a little bit too much. Is that going to hurt his overall time? Well, until he crosses that line, we will not find out. But as he flies down, DRS enabled into turn 14. Brakes nice and late for that one. Just getting it turned around in time for the hairpin. Very, very nicely done from the Dutchman as he flies through turn 16, using all of the inside curb, just about keeps it valid on the exit. And there it is, provisional pole, 128.8, and I think it is going to be pole for the end of the session because pretty much everyone else has got the flag here and, well, made it when it counts. Only half a tenth faster than Sindako, though. It's all he needed. But it's going to be a pretty close battle between those two, it would seem.
What a qualifying this has been now. A big shuffle of times through this grid. A little bit of a shuffle in tire choice, as well as it'll be Brain Stew and some idiot 7 and 9 starting on the medium compound tires. Henners, he was, I think, 10th for a moment. He drops to 11th and he gets that free choice of tire. He qualified on the mediums, and everyone behind him will also have that same opportunity. But once again, Neon on pole position. The McLaren driver, the Dutchman, a 128.829, half a tenth ahead of the Italian Sindako. The Racing Point ran a 28.871 here. Uptus in the Mercedes, a 29 flat, just 2.5 tenths off of the pole sitter. Daniel Monoff and Domi round out 4 and 5 here. Squid in 6th, Brain Stew 7th, Alex Butt in 8th, Samidiot in 9th, and four-door sedan will round out the top 10. We'll get on through the rest of this grid, of course, with you on the formation lap.
Yeah, some really, really impressive times there in qualifying. And well, the 100% distance races, strategy is paramount. We've seen it time and time again. And you mentioned it, the diversification of those tire choices that we saw just there. That doesn't even include the ones we're about to see outside of the top 10, but a few of those drivers qualifying on the mediums inside the top 10 provides a very interesting dynamic for what we're about to witness in terms of when that first pit window is for some of the drivers, and it'll be a bit later for the others on those harder compound tires, which could really open them up to, I don't know whether the medium hard one stop is possible or even desirable, but they could just be on that reverse strategy, be a little bit faster at the end of this race.
Definitely. 10 seconds counting down now until we see the drivers load in for a formation lap around Shanghai. Of course, As we jump into formation, just want to give a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat and, of course, the panels down below on their website for some amazing sim racing rigs and gear. They have wheel stands, motion sims, light rigs, full rigs, and everything you could think of for the beginner to the advanced racer. So we greatly appreciate it if you can hit that link and help us out and help out the sim racing community with Next Level Racing. Neon on pole position. We see the tires come through now. Unicorn, why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. We got Neon on pole position, just beating Sindako there, who starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then we have Tuptus in third, Daniel Manaf in fourth, Domi in fifth, Squid in sixth, Brainstew seventh on the medium compounded tire, Alex Budd in eighth on the soft, Some Idiot on the medium in ninth, and then four-door sedan on the softs in 10th. Then outside of the top 10, Hennes starts 11th on the hard compound tires. Then we have Remco Van Putten in 12th on the mediums, Yasko P13 on hards. Captain Minor and Maka 14th and 15th respectively, both on the mediums. Dark on 16th on the softs. His teammate Will Gibson starts behind him on the hard compound tires. Then Williams and Barza 18th and 19th for those two on the softs. And Dayson finishes starts 20th in the Mercedes on the hard compound tires. Not sure if that was as a result of some sort of connection issue, because I think he qualified higher than that one, if I'm not mistaken, Schiff. But we'll see what he could do, carve his way through this grid, because I think he does have a little bit more pace than some of the guys ahead of him. I think he might have been shucked down at the bottom there with connection issues, as Daniel Manaf and Tuptus appear to have come together on the straight, and they've been flung back to the starting grid.
That's the last thing you want to happen ahead of a 100% distance race, is to have a little bit of a disadvantage or handicap coming through that first section with the cold tires in comparison. However, Shanghai, it doesn't take too long to get your tires to temperature, but it will be a little bit of a frustration considering they are lining up in this race on the second row.
Yeah, you don't want a bad start, and that's what cold tires can provide. Particularly, you know, the first few turns here, turns 1 through 4, got that very twisty sort of section. And cold tires does not bode well at the start of China, so I could really throw them off for the rest of the race, but there's a lot of time to sort of drag yourself back up the grid if you have a bad start. But here we are, we're just about ready to get going.
Well, 4 or 5 red lights here in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's round 2 of the Endurance Series. The engines are revving, and the drivers are away. Who has the best launch off the line between the front row? Well, Sindako is having an excellent start. Up the inside he goes through into turn 1, and he is already ahead of the McLaren on the inside of this race. Further exchanging further back down the grid, but Tuptus and Domi, they've exchanged. Domi ahead of the Mercedes. Of course, the tires going to play a role for him here, but Sindako, what a start for him. Squid, Daniel, well, they've exchanged. Squid's into 6th position. Well, Daniel on the inside, a little bit of a pair coming through Sector 1 here now. Remco, Alex Budd exchanging. There's a lot of cars and a lot of action happening here, Unicorn.
Yeah, so the two Alpha Tauris have been side by side for a while, but for some reason, Squid just looked like he let past his teammate. Now he's vulnerable to some idiot behind us. There's been a big incident. Will Gibson, it would seem, off in the gravel trap, sliding in the Williams. And four-door sedan caught up in this as well as debris. The McLaren's missing an end plate. The Williams, I don't know if there's any damage on that car. No safety car, looks like missing a right. No, he's actually, his front wing's fine. Although tires might be a little hot.
Well, Daniel looking at brains too as we come down the long straight now. I'll take us through what happened with the McLaren in just a second. It looks like he got caught up with the Red Bull of Alex Budd coming through Sector 2 now. Daniel on the inside of Brainstew in the hairpin. He's looking for a solid exit here. Brainstew with a better one. He's on the mediums right now, the Italian, but Daniel's got that outside. Brainstew's heading into the pit lane early. Brainstew has damage on the front right wing.
Yeah, unfortunate to see him come into the pit lane like that at this stage of the race. Also worth noting that those cold tires we saw, Daniel Manaf and start to pick up, they did cause them both up. Have a bad start. Some idiot on the inside of Squid through the first couple of turns, trying to find a way past the Alpha Tower, and he might just find it here depending on the exit. I think he's
Oh!
just been boxing a little bit.
Alex Bud's gone around. There's been a huge issue. Yasko's gone into the Red Bull, and there is a yellow through sectors 1 and 2. Will this be a safety car deployment? That was a big hit. I don't know what the damage is like on that Ferrari, but it has to be severe. It is massive on Yasko's front end. His front right is gone.
Yeah, up the inside. There goes Dason and Yasko's teammate Williams. Oh, well, it's been a pretty dramatic start so far to this one. A lot of position changes. Squid and Will Gibson, the only two people still where they started this race. So a lot of position changes. We've got 5 drivers already sort of on their own at the back of this one for various issues. You know, Brains, you had the pit. Alex Buddy's just had that spin. And, well, as Neon, he exchanged for the lead. Up the inside goes the McLaren. A little bit deep, though, in Sindaco. What a switchback for the Racing Point. Defends lead of this race. And that is exactly how you do it. Very nicely done from the Racing Point.
That was a beautiful defense there. Speaking of Racing Points, some idiot still sitting himself in the rearview mirror of Squid. These two know each other, I know for a fact, because Squid, of course, he drives for Williams on a regular day, and some idiot, good friend of that Williams squad.
Aaron, well, there's a big tire difference here as well. Somebody, he'll be using that to his advantage. He doesn't have to be too aggressive here, but at the same time, he can afford to be, because just the tire wear on those mediums will be so much less than what Squid has on those softs out of him, but he gets a bit squirrely coming out of turn 6 there. So somebody, I don't know if that's a shaky setup, but Racing Point not looking too comfortable there coming out of the 6th turn.
Only lap 3 out of 56, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a lot of little fights happening on track, and there's a lot of potential for, well, safety cars, VSCs. Maybe we'll even see some punctures. That has been trending lately in some of our races.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's been sort of an update to the tire, model, and the way they, the wear gets. We've always known that above 75%, that's the puncture territory. But I think it's been a bit more harsh now. As Dason got a brilliant run on Barza down the long straight, exchanges for 11th place. Mercedes picking that one up, not really too difficult for him. He's on the hards as well, and he's doing a real charge. He started this race right down in P20. Alex Budd and Ford Orsolan, they're exchanging all the way down in 19th in Sector 2. They're still having a good battle between the two of them. And when it's a long race like this, you don't want to be sitting on your own for the entirety of 56 laps, Jeff. It's a long campaign.
Yeah, without a doubt, 56 laps around Shanghai. You don't want to be by yourself. You want to be able to follow and well, at the very least, enjoy yourself racing another driver. And we have a good chunk of racing happening between well, there's a few trains, and I had said it before this race that there was going to be pockets of racing in this grid, and we'll just see if we get any of those unique scenarios like safety cars to throw a monkey wrench into the equation. But I'm really excited to see some of the strategical battles that are coming down with the soft runners, the hard runners, the medium runners, and all the difference in strategy. It is a long race, and we haven't seen a 100% distance race in the Misfits yet around Shanghai. We've seen them around other circuits, but not Shanghai, so we don't know how the tires are really going to play just yet.
Yeah, and I think that's, one thing that the drivers would have been aware of too, because a lot of the time you don't know what the strategy is coming into 100% race. It's pretty simple to work out a basic strategy. It might not be the best, most effective way, as some idiot. Does he have a run on Squid here coming out of the hairpin? He doesn't. Henners, though, well, he's got back past Maka, who exchanged him. I think Maka went for a little bit of dive on the inside of the Red Bull. No contact between them. As, who is this? Daniel Manafi's off.
Oh, that's
He's
dangerous.
spun at the final corner.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to him. Looks like there's been a disconnect of some capacity. Front end damage, full-blown right damage on that AlphaTauri right now, and that car is on track. Ghosting's disabled in MRL. Hopefully he can retake control of his vehicle.
We'll try and get him back in here as quickly as possible. But he does have pretty substantial damage on that AlphaTauri. Fingers crossed it doesn't infect him too much.
Anders and Dason here on these hards in a solid position right now.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested to see where they end up, because that is, you know, that's what I love about the 100% races, is that compounds like the hards are so much more viable than they are as some idiot squid. They've exchanged. It's some idiot getting taken around the outside, not only by the AlphaTauri, but we've got Remco Van Put in there. Looking to come past as well. Squid, a very bad exit. He is trundling down this long back straight. He is going so much slower than these other two drivers. He's got passed by Remco. He's late on the brakes to try and defend from some idiot. And I think he's just about got it. But if he gets another bad exit, some idiot wobbling out of the hairpin. Henners, Maka, they've exchanged for P8. Maka sliding out of the hairpin. But yeah, not sure what's going on with Squid there, but he just looks so slow on that straight. And you don't want to be slow on the straights in China, that is for sure, because there is a lot of them.
There goes Dason back ahead of Maka through turn 1 here, and Dark and Yasko are exchanging. Yasko into 17th position. Daniel Monaf, I do believe that is an AI controlled car that is now pitting, and well, there's a lot of wing damage on that car right now.
Yeah, I think even if he was in control of that car, he would have, you know, pitted it. It depends whether he would have gone for the mediums. That's what the game has selected for him. I don't know whether taking the mediums to the, you know, two stopping, medium to medium, is possible from this stage.
I'm going to talk about here. Remco Van Putten has made up 7 positions. He was able to catch Squid and Samidiot, take the pair of them into the hairpin, and then pull a gap of nearly a second and a half here, Unicorn. What a very, very good opportunity seized and taken from him.
It's going well for him at this stage of the race. Still pretty early on in this Chinese Grand Prix. Some idiot is hunting down Squid. He's had another bad exit. Obviously, DRS is there for some idiot, and some idiot, a little bit of a connection issue there for him, sort of glitching back and forth, but he has passed Squid, and the connection issue is not stopping him there. So I wonder whether Squid's tires are just feeling a little bit poor. Henners takes Dason for P8, but Dason not having it. He's going to look up the inside into the final corner, not going to go for the move, though. It's a pretty tricky corner to overtake through. Just giving DRS down to the 13-1.
Yeah, well, we're just getting this timing tower readout here. Dason Henners now on the inside. Dason back through. Henners looked for the inside back for maybe a switch opportunity.
Yeah, very nicely done from Dason. These two hard runners, they sort of need to work together a little bit. They don't want to battle too hard because they are on these slower tires. Hence, you know, they're a little bit further behind the top 7 right now on the softs and the mediums. But I think the softs are starting to die out a bit, Striff. You don't really see too many of them in the 50% races. So I don't think they're going to last too long here in the 100% race either. I wouldn't be surprised to see them start pitting in the, you know, next 5 or so laps off of those tires, because they don't last long at all in the 50% races. Bars up, Maka. They've exchanged Maka. He had some sort of issue, I think. I don't know what it was, but he seemed to lose a couple of positions in quick succession. Now back up into 11th place.
The AlphaTauri's had an issue coming through into the straight. He's just dropped a pair of positions to Dason and Henners. Some idiot as well. If some idiot did not yet get him, I can't recall at the moment, but
he's been struggling coming out of that 13th turn. He has been losing a lot of time down that straight, and that is possibly the worst turn to lose time out of. And he's into the pit, so I think it might be tire related for the AlphaTauri.
it's pretty well on cue as to what you said regarding these tires, these softs starting to die a bit. I know it's early, it's only lap 8. I think we're going to see quite a few changes of tire here in this race, maybe.
Yeah, particularly those softs. They just don't last in the 50%, so I don't see them lasting here. Like I said before we started, It should just scale. The tires should just be able to go basically double the distance as to what we usually see them. And even then, people say the softs die out after 3 laps to be competitive. That would put it here to be dying out about lap 6 or lap 7 because they won't wear as much in qualifying. But yeah, I think that the softs are really losing their competitive edge. So someone to watch out for. You mentioned him a few nights ago, Remco Van Putten. The gap right now, 5.3 seconds to Tuptus ahead. If that starts closing, it'll be very interesting to see where he lands at the end of all this, because I think he right now is on the fastest set of tires on this grid, with the exception of obviously Squid and Daniel Manaf in the 2 AlphaTauris, because they're on fresher mediums, but they're all the way down in 14th and 18th. There goes Tuptus. He's into the pits.
The question is, what tires does he get onto? Because he'll be one of the first soft runners to pit out of that position. Mediums for him.
They're going to go for the 2-stop. I think it's going to be a soft medium. But even that.
Where does he come out with?
Alex Butt's had another issue. He's in the grass. No damage on the Red Bull. But he's... Oh, now there's damage.
That is horrible. What happened to the Red Bull? That's caused a safety car. Oh my, that is not what you want to see. Alex Budd with the retirement fairly early here in this one.
Williams just got a drive-through penalty for spinning under the safety car. That is what we were talking about just sort of rogue places to crash, bring out the safety cars, because no one really crashes there. The reason being is that Alex spun at the corner before. I imagine he overheated his tires, and then he just goes and spins again, just trying to get that car straightened out again. Hits the wall a little bit too hard. He's out, and it's at a bit of the track that's narrow. Meanwhile, Sindaco, Neon, Domi, they're all going to take full advantage of this. Pit under the safety car. Very nice for them.
Well, the drive-through that Williams has taken, Yasko has, the Ferraris have, ladies and gentlemen, the Ferraris have both taken drive-through penalties here in Shanghai.
I want to see if Remco pits. He does. As does some idiot. And that's going to be interesting because his teammate is Sindaco is in the pits ahead of him. Is some idiot going to get double stacked here? I don't know if there's enough of a gap. It looks like Sindaco's out.
He might
is
be
that
okay.
Racing Point team ready for him?
I think they're all right.
Hennis is staying out.
Ooh. No, it was a little bit of a delay. Yeah, it wasn't the worst delay in the world, but it was a delay. He's onto those hards.
Well, there we go. Hennis now into P2 on these hards. One of the only drivers staying out right now.
What a call!
In fact, I think he is the only driver
what
staying out.
What a call from him! What a call that is. And I don't know if it's the right call, but go get him. You know?
I actually don't think it's a bad call. I don't think it's a bad call. Reason being, those hards, this is a 100% race. They have still got a lot of life left in them. They are not particularly quick around this track. You've got to look at this. The hards, they're not fast. But at the same time, I think he can make a one-stop here work if he goes hards to mediums, because Remco has come in from the mediums onto the hards. Some idiot's done the same. So I think they're going to take the hards to the end from here, which means that Henna's here. He can take these hards to a set of mediums pretty nicely. I reckon he'll pit somewhere just before lap 40, somewhere in the 30s. One stop it, hards to stop mediums. Everyone else on this grid still has to pit with the exception of Remco and some idiot, I think. So Henna's staying out here, I think, is a very, very good strategy call. He'll have to make it work, of course, and it, requires him not to crash, make any mistakes like that, and manage the tires a little bit. But I think it's a very, very interesting call, and I'm surprised no one else risked it. Actually, Maka did. Maka didn't pit off of mediums. That might be a mistake.
The only two drivers, Henners and Maka. What an interesting race this is shaped up to be. Let's take a look at the position changes as we're now under these safety car conditions. Dason has made up 11 positions in this race from where he began in 20th.
It's a brilliant race from him. I said he was going to come through this grid. I didn't expect him to come through this grid that quickly, but there was, a few drivers who had some problems in some of the opening laps, so pretty unfortunate for them. But obviously that means that someone like Dason can take advantage of those errors and just re-inject themselves into this grid in a fighting chance. And now he's really on for points drift. He has really got a brilliant foothold in this race. You've got Maka ahead of him on older tyres. You've got some idiot ahead of him on slower tyres. You've got Remco ahead of him on slower tyres. Hennes as well, of course. And then everyone above him is on equal tyres. So he's got plenty of opportunity here to tear through this grid. So still think he's even on for a podium if he plays his cards right. And for 20th on the grid, and that's for us to be saying that on lap 11, not, lap 40 when we've had 30 other laps. Lap 11, he's done that. I am very, very excited to see what he can do in the next 45.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely with you on that. Lap 11 out of 56 we're on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Check them out, of course, with the link in the chat and down via the panels below. Got some amazing sim racing rigs, wheel stands, motion sims, and everything you could possibly need. Getting your rig and kit set up for racing. So thank you so much to them for supporting us. Of course, thank you everybody who is viewing along in the stream. Great to have you here. This is the second round now of the Endurance Series this season. We would be racing Imola, but as we are not available to, we're not able to race Imola in the F1 2020 release, we figured we haven't had an opportunity to visit Shanghai for one of these endurance rounds, so let's have at it. So here we are. And what a race it's been here so far, Unicorn. Safety car already.
Yeah, brilliant race so far. Now that I think we needed a safety car though to punch things back a little bit. It's a very late call from race control, but it's coming back in. And like you said, Imola not in this race, but fingers crossed, the new 2021 game has just been announced.
That is an unbelievably late call.
Well, Sandaku's gone, and I don't think Hennes is going to be able to answer this too well on those 10-lap-old hards. But he hasn't got away poorly, actually. Credit to Hennes. That's a brilliant getaway as they chase him down into turn one. Tuptus, he's probably had the best start out of anyone because he's really looking to put pressure on Remco. And Remco's tapped the rear of Domi. And there's a little bit of contact between the Mercedes and the Haas as they go side by side coming through turn 3 and 4. And Tuptus really piling on the pressure to the Haas. Remco nearly made a fatal error there. He's managed to recover well. Tuptus still on the ERS through the corner.
Hold the phone. Neon now with the fresher medium rubber. Getting through on Henners now. We're going to jump back to Maka as Brainstew has dispatched him. Dason. Well, he's around the inside now. Or outside to the inside of Maka. And there's so much wheel-to-wheel exchanging as this grid has been brought back to life. Brainstew on these soft tires. He's going to have an opportunity to fly through the grid ahead of him. Squid, Dason, a wheel-to-wheel exchange nearly 3 wide as we come through. Oh, this is wild racing, Unicorn. I am losing my words right now.
Yeah, a lot of battles going on. Domi on Hennes. Those old hards not really favoring Hennes at this stage of the race, but it's all on the strategy for him, and I think he knows that. As behind him, he's got Tuptus looking at Remco. It's so tight down into this hairpin. Hennes slow on the exit means that Remco is looking at him for the outside of 16. Remco backs out, almost causing Tuptus to run into the rear of him. Brainstew's not too far behind the Mercedes either. And here he goes, the Italian coming past the Mercedes. And up the inside he goes into turn 1. Beautifully done from Brainstew, really taking advantage of the situation. And now he's going to have a look at Remco as well. These softs really working out for that Alfa Romeo driver. The Italian in the Italian team's car, looking around the outside now as they come out of 4, and there he goes. And there's a little bit of contact. They've just about worked out enough space for each other. And Remco is going to have a look at the inside, but it's Tuptus with a massive dive at the inside of Remco. Brainstew's past Hennes for 4th, and Tuptus just fighting his way through. A little bit of squeeze from Remco. Sees the Mercedes off into the grass a little bit, back down to 7th place, and some idiot now, Striff, all over that Mercedes gearbox.
This has been incredible racing at this restart. It's exactly what you wanted to see, is just action-packed intensity. Trying to find solid angles here around Shanghai. Not the most easy task in the world.
Well, they're still nice and closely bunched up. The front two, though, Sindaku, Neon, running away a little bit. Brainsuit, he's clung to Domi as well, and on those softs, he could be very dangerous. After this restart, Tuptus, is he going to go for another lunge on Remco? He's used nearly all of his battery, but he is going for the dive. The Mercedes up the inside of that hairpin. He's got damage, actually, Jeff. I think he's missing that right end plate by the looks of it. He is. A little bit of snap as well on the exit, but he does lose 6th place to Remco. DRS back online for these racers now.
Drag race for Domi. Brainsuit at that fastest lap of the campaign now so far. Some 3-second time penalties being awarded coming out of turn 16 for some of the drivers near the rear of the grid. Baza, WG. More exchanging through the first few turns as Tuptus, Dason are wheel to wheel. Some idiot dropping in 9th.
Tuptus, that damage really costing him right now. He is struggling a lot as Squid goes up the inside of Maka, but he doesn't find it. I think he's got a little bit deep as Maka very nice on the switch back there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Squid nearly spun himself on the inside of turn 7 there. That would have been bad news for the AlphaTauri, and on these tires, he's got to be, a little bit careful. He should have the advantage over Maka. Yellow flag with Gibson, I think, the cause of that one in the Williams. Not quite sure what he's done there, but his car looks like it's intact.
Squid, Maka,
continue.
They're just having an absolute duel right now. Squid, is he going to have enough of an exit here? Maka on his inside. Squid holding for now, but the DRS is going to engage. We're going to jump ahead with Dason as well. Dason with Remco. Squid and Maka, wheel-to-wheel exchanging all the way down to the hairpin for everybody involved. Some idiot and Tuptus as well.
Yeah, side to side for those guys. Dason, he loses to Remco Van Putten. Tuptus, he's still in 8th place, but Squid still looks slow on the straights. Not quite sure what's going on there. Dason, Remco Van Putten back to side-by-side action between these guys. The Haas on the inside through turns 1 and 2. Well, that's going to put him on the outside for 3 if he doesn't get ahead, but he does get ahead. The number 12 Haas car up into P6, and Dason not got a response to him right now. And Remco on those hards is looking very, very well poised in this race. He's got the pace to fight with the medium runners. He will be going for a longer stint. He just seems to be careful if he's trying to take those to the end. Henner's up ahead, wobbling a little bit, but it's Dason with a run on Remco Van Putten up the inside through turn 7. It's a pretty unorthodox place for an overtake. You don't always see side by side through here. Remco just getting caught rear wheel of him. He's going for a big slide in the grass, and he's broken the braking board, but he's got it back on track pretty quickly and nicely to do without hitting anyone else, and more importantly, without damaging his own car. But he's dropped down to 9th place, and he's got some serious catch-up to do, and he was doing so well, Striff.
What battling we were seeing with Remco here. Alex Budd coming into the chat. Thank you so much for the raid, and sorry to see what happened to you in the Red Bull, sir. But it has definitely sparked a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing. Remco going to be feeling a little bit of temperature in those tires right now. Tuptus 1.3 seconds on the rear of some idiot. Enters Dason in the hairpin. Dason now is going to have the outside coming into turn 16. This could be very tight as Henners will hold him right now. But it might not be for long. Dason on these very fresh mediums in comparison. Of course, Henners, one of the two that stayed out at the safety car deployment. Around the outside, the Mercedes. Very tight. No contact between the two. And very nice, smooth racing between them. A little bit of a brush now. Henners with the exit, still on these hards. Switchback opportunity. Look at this duel. Oh, massive snap for Henners there.
Second lap in a row, he struggled through there, but he's still ahead, Striff, and he is doing so much with those tires. in comparison to what everyone else is on, you'd think they'd be breezing by, but you got to remember this is a 100% race. They're wearing down a little bit worse, but he picks up another penalty for himself. That is where he's losing out here, and where his strategy might come crumbling apart.
Samidia just rubbing his hands together now in that racing point on the rear of Dason, waiting for the opportunity to be taken. Here he goes, Dason now on the run to the left as we come into the hairpin. The defense to the inside, the Red Bull. Does he open the door for some idiot here? Nothing doing just yet. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers?
Very nicely constructed move from Dason, but Hennes, he's coming back, Striff. He's coming back around the outside of one. I don't know if his tries have got the traction for this, but he's going to try it anyway. And you've got to admire his spirit and his fight here that he's brought to Shanghai. He's lost the position though. P5 finally goes to Dason. You've got to say it's been coming. But Hennes is playing a very interesting role in this race. He is really holding the rest of this grid up, and that's what he needs to do for himself. Tuptus, Remco, they're fighting coming out of the opening sector. Looking for the outside line. Remco for the switchback in the Haas. He's not going to find it there. But he's looking good for that move, and he was fighting a lot higher up. And he's got a lot of speed in that Haas, that's for sure. Daniel Monaf as well. He's just got past Maka for the final point scoring positions. And they're catching this little battle between Remco and Tuptus here. And Tuptus definitely a little slower than Remco, particularly given the tyre disadvantage that Remco's got right now to keep with that Mercedes.
Tight intervals all up and down this timing tower as Brain Stew looking at Neon now for second position. Coming down the straight to the inside, of course, for the Alfa Romeo. It looks like an easy move for the Italian, and now it's a pair of Italians leading things here in China. Tendako in the racing point, followed by Brain Stew. Neon in third. We have Domi in fourth, and Dason is in fifth as Henners and some idiot exchange through the hairpin. Turn 14.
Here goes Brain Stew into the lead of the race. Oh, the inside of turn one, those softs doing brilliant work for him. And I gotta say, it's been a brilliant restart from him. He wasn't running up at the front too much, and now he's really rocketing himself. Hennes going back into P6 around the outside of the racing point here. Some idiot holding on the inside though, but that opens up Hennes for turn 3 and 4. Just who gets the better run here out of 4? It's all important, and it's Hennes, who is really outperforming his tires right now. That's for certain. Yeah, Brain Stew on a real charge right now. I don't know how long his tires have got left though, Striff. That's his biggest problem. But there's a nice gap between him and Dason for P5. There's about 10 seconds there. 23-second pit lane, I think you lose to there. So it's not going to be too bad for him.
Neon trying to keep up with these Italians and lead things as it's Brain Stew wanting to pull that gap, of course, over Sindako. Things in this midfield really bunched up right now. Four-door sedan, 16th position with Baza on his rear. They have a little bit of a train going for 15th behind the Williams of Dark. Not too much massive separation in this grid when you look at the grand scheme of things. The separation between first all the way down to 14th position is about 21 seconds.
Yep, Daniel Manaf, Remco Van Putten. It's a pretty simple exchange down into the hairpin, where it's not simple as if Remco gets an exit out of the hairpin. He doesn't know, not better than the AlphaTauri. And he's got the other AlphaTauri not too far behind him as well. Squid running a little wide though as Four-door sedan, Dark, they've exchanged through the hairpin. Tuptus, Daniel Manaf. P8 goes to the AlphaTauri. He's on a bit of a charge right now. And the AlphaTauri is looking pretty solid at this stage of the race. The problem here is for these guys battling the midfield stuff, they're just losing time to the drivers up ahead, and to really showcase that is Hennes, because he's on these old tyres. He's been battling, but he's still got a pretty decent gap to those guys behind.
I was looking at what was happening in this first sector with Remco and Tuptus, and I think Squid just got closed off by that Haas. I might be wrong, but he had a little bit of a shake coming through turn 3. And he might have been looking for an opportunity. I'm not sure. There's no visible damage. things are definitely tight in this fight for P8.
Yeah, that fight for P8 is heating up, but like I said, they can't cost each other too much time. If I was Daniel Manaf, I would want to get out of there, and that is exactly what he's doing. He's already got that 1 second window. I don't know if he had it before the DRS detection zone. He didn't, so that means that Tuptus here has a bit of an opportunity to close it back down, but I imagine this time next lap he will not have DRS on that AlphaTauri ahead, and that will make him assisting Dr. Remco Van Putten, who's under a lot of pressure from Squid, but Squid's gone very deep. Big lunge to the AlphaTauri, but he's made it work.
Wow. That was a big risk with a big reward for him. He's pulled out half a second for the moment on the Dutchman. Now in his rearview mirror is Remco Van Putten. I don't know if he thought Squid was going to send it there. Henner's some idiot now, wheel to wheel through the first few turns. Some idiot 6th position for him. Henner's just dropping, and of course you can't forget Henner's and Maka in this grid right now, 7th and 12th position respectively for the pair of them. They are still on their starting compound attire.
Yeah, and it's very impressive that they are still running on the Maka on those 19 lap op mediums, starting to provide a bit more insight into the tire life of that compound. And I think that means that all those guys who pitted for the mediums under the safety car will comfortably be able to make one more stop onto another set of mediums before the end of this race to take them to the checkered flag. As for Brainstew, it's going to be a bit more difficult for him to make that work. So I don't know whether he's going to go for hards or if he's just going to try and stretch those softs. We got a yellow flag. It's a Renault. It's Domi. He's had a problem coming out of turn 13 and he dropped to Dayson. And he's going to lose some time to some idiot as well behind. And not quite sure what happened to the Renault. It's a tricky place to have a problem. If you go back and watch the Tier 3 race, you'll see a Renault have a particular problem through there as well. But I'm not going to go much more into that one. But yeah, he's lost P4. Striff.
Here goes Captain Minor getting a move ahead of WG. Will Gibson with a very, very late on the brakes move to defend here. Quite deep. Captain Minor getting that position. A cut. Well, a very large cut coming out of this Williams. I'm not sure if he saw the turn there, but he is going to have an opportunity to run back at this Haas.
That safety car really provided a lot of action as Yasko's had a problem in the same place as Domi. Interesting stuff. The Ferrari's 18th to 19th. It hasn't been their race at all. But that doesn't mean it's over. Another safety car could bring them back into the swing of things for the Scuderia. Right now, not looking too brilliant for them. Meanwhile, Brainstew, he's dropped out of lead of this race. Neon's hot on his heels, and I think those softs starting to see them, drop off a little bit here.
We're still paying close attention to this fight, of course, for 9th position, as well as the fight for the lead of this race. Such a difference in strategy. We're not even at the halfway point yet in this campaign. We've already seen so much racing here in this one. Round 2 of a very long endurance racing season. I'm quite excited for it. It was an explosive first round in Bahrain, to say the least. Tuptus now. Squid exchanging through the hairpin. There's Remco looking to pick up the pieces from this on the inside. He wants that final points position. The outside for him through 16. There's the Mercedes. A little bit of a tap. He has to just run wide.
Remco, such a class act. He's got Tuptus coming back up his inside into turn 1, though. A little bit hot, though. And Remco knows how to defend this. He's a very, very good defender, but Tuptus just squeezing himself up the inside here. There's not enough room, though, for him to come back through turns 3 and 4. And Remco takes P10 and Tuptus with a big slide. You've got to give him props for saving that one. That was a big moment of Council's here to get the Mercedes continuing on where he wants it to. But Remco, what an amazing bit of driving from him to take P10 out of all of that. It was pretty tight, but he made it work. They have lost time to Squid ahead, though, and Remco needs to ensure that he stays within that DRS range before they get to the long straight. The DRS detection zone is just coming out of turn 11, so he's got a problem here. I don't think he's in it, Striff. He's burning ERS to try and bring it back. He's going late on the brakes. but I don't think he's got it because the detection zone is there. And he's not in it. He's not going to have DRS on Squid. That's a big, big problem for him. And he slides the Dutchman right now, struggling.
Battling hot tires, of course, when you're fending off through turn 1, 2, 3 like that. They were wheel to wheel through that entire section. And, well, we see Tuptus closing that gap even more so now that Remco no longer has that DRS. Neon, Brainstew, Sindako still the trio leading this race. Brainstew on a little bit of a different strategy, of course, being on those soft compound tires. And the big question is, at what point do they betray him to the mediums?
Yeah, I think Brainstew. He's going to be the first one out of all of these guys to pit because of the soft tires, and we know that they don't last too long. So Brainstew, I think, has to be the first person to pit. But the mediums have still got life. Maka, he's the big indication. Maka, he'll pit after Brainstew, but it won't be too far until we see those guys pit. Meanwhile, Henner's getting a bit shaky. Turn 11. And that's going to open the door a little bit for the Avatari behind him. Neon takes Brainstew down into the hairpin, but it's here. It's Henner's. Daniel Manaf, DRS enabled for the Avatari. Swinging past the sister team. And there it is. Brainstew's into the pit lane. Henner's, he's been absolutely taken down into the hairpin. Nothing he could do to stop that Avatari coming past.
Smooth move with the use of that DRS, of course. Brainstew in getting off the softs. He's getting on a pair of mediums, or not a pair, a set.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be tough to take those to the end. Meanwhile, Henner's still on Daniel Manaf. We've seen Henner's. Everyone who comes past him, he's fought. He is not giving up any positions easily this evening. And as much as I'm sure he is having fun out there, I don't know if that's the best for his strategy on these old hards. I really don't.
32 laps left remaining in this race, and we're seeing Brainstew versus Tuptus now on the inside with the fresh rubber. It's a very smooth move for him. He's going to have a lot of response in that fresh set.
Well, the fact that he's come out of the pit lane in the points... Well, he didn't come out of the pit lane, but it put himself back in the points very quickly. It bodes well for the rest of this race for him. The question is, can he finish on those tyres? But if he can, to me, Brainstew right now is sitting in one of the best positions in this race.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, but as you said, that he needs to make them last. Here he goes on the inside of Remco. He's just gaining and gaining so much with this fresh set. Neon has just picked up 3 seconds, and for a driver who is sitting... well, within a second or two, potential win exactly in that top 3. That's not what you want to be doing. Here goes Brainstew. He's dispatched Remco. He was looking for Squid as well. He has so much response right now. I don't think any of these drivers on the old tires have a chance. Here he goes now. Smooth move for him. Gets ahead of Squid. Now, we take a look at Brainstew's gap to Henner's. Henner's still has not pit in this race, which is also a very interesting situation.
Well, the thing I love about Henner's not pitting is because he didn't pit under that safety car. We have an issue. I think that's Williams. It is in that Ferrari having a problem down through 12 and 13. And the thing is with Henner's not pitting, he's up 4 places from where he started. And, well, he's going to pit at the same time as everyone else, I would imagine, for fresh mediums. Bring himself onto a level playing field. And he's fought everyone on older, slower tyres right now. If he can carry that form onto the fresh mediums when everyone else does, he is on for a solid finish. And I wouldn't count him out, potentially, of even a top 5. So, very impressive right now for Henner's. Some idiot as well. He could go for softs. I don't know if he can because of the pace that Brainstew is showing on the fresh mediums right now. That when everyone else comes in for the fresh mediums, If some idiot finds himself getting caught quickly, he might have to react to it and get onto mediums before he can get to the softs. But if he can get to the softs, well, we saw what Brainstew did on the fresh softs, absolutely rocketed through this grid. So some idiot right now, penalty free as well as Domi picks up 3 seconds. That's going to be big, particularly if we see a late safety car.
Yeah, that's right. If we get that late safety car, penalties on this grid are going to play such a role in this race. Brainstew within half a second now of Henners. Did not take him long to hunt down this Red Bull, even remotely, as Tuptus has come into the pit lane. We'll see what tires he jumps onto. It's another set of mediums.
Well, I think he's been struggling. I don't think he pitted for that damage, and now it's the earliest part. Brainstew Henners. Another position for the Italian. He came out of the pit lane in 11th place, Striff. In 1 lap, well, 2 laps. We'll say 2 laps. That's 1.5, but 7th place. He is on a real charge to this grid. Obviously, the gap starts to get a little bit bigger and his progress will stunt, but he'll be in P6 pretty soon. And then it's not too much of a back gap to some idiot who's on 15-lap-old hards. So forget the mediums. He's on hards. So Brainstew right now is on so much... The tyres are so much quicker that he has got a good opportunity here. And his... Actually, it's something... I don't know if we'll see it. I don't think I would if I was Brainstew. As he looks around the outside later on the brakes of Daniel Manaf. But he finds it. What a move from the Italian. Beautiful stuff there around the outside of turn 14. Meanwhile, Remco Squid there, side by side, coming down towards the final corner. Who's going to find the faster exit? It's going to be Remco just squeezing Squid off the track a little bit. And he's got DRS. Squid low on ERS as well. So nothing that the Alpha could do to come back. But Brainstew right now, he's carving his way back through this grid. And if he doesn't think that those tires are going to get him to the end of this race, he could just pit with everyone else. Seems like a complete waste, but maybe even softs at the end.
I was thinking softs at the end myself if Brainstew is able to pull enough of a gap.
Well, he doesn't have to pull a gap because everyone around him has to pit.
I think you're right. I think Brainstew might have just big-brained this.
Big Brainstew.
Can we get a hashtag, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat? We have a yellow flag. It's a Ferrari once again. This time, well, it's not Yasko, it's Williams once again.
Third time we've seen someone have a problem there, and it's not a common problem. It's a pretty hard place to have a mistake. It is possible. I've done it myself, as I alluded to earlier, but you don't see it this many times in a race, and well, the race would have been over if it was a 50% race. We're just over halfway through. Actually, no, we wouldn't. This would be the final lap if we're in a 50% race, I think. But yeah, there's just been a surprising amount of issues through there for some of these drivers, Striff. Don't know what's got into them down there in turn 13.
Well, we've got a retirement in the pit lane now. That will be the Ferrari of Williams. Domi, some idiot exchanging through the first few turns now. That is what the yellow flag is for, if anyone is wondering, is that Ferrari retirement.
Maka, he becomes, well, actually, he took those tires 27 laps. And with that in mind, that means everyone else can go to lap 38 with the same tire stint. And he's gone for the hards, so he is going for the one stop. He's also getting a front wing change on that Alfa Romeo, and that's put him pretty far down. But he shouldn't have to pit again. So nicely done from the Alfa Romeo. He's just got to take it to the end now. His problem is just staying within this race. In terms of concentration, because he's got no one around him to battle. He's 6.6 seconds behind Tuptus on faster tyres.
Idiot made it ahead of Domi. Domi now with a run back on the Racing Point. The Racing Point, however, with the DRS. And you can just see, even with the utilization of battery for this Renault, it is not going to be a good opportunity for him to get the move back, as Brainstew is looking to take the pair of them. Domi might sneak through back into fourth on the inside. Brainstew gets Cody. Wow.
Very, very intense fighting between these two. And now Brainstew looking for it around the outside of Domi. He's not done. And this Italian is
Oh!
Domi's got a massive snap. Where is he
Into
going?
the wall!
He's out.
He's out of this race! Domi is out of this race! No! Oh my, is that going to be a safety car? He is in the
I think he's
wall!
far enough away.
Oh my.
I don't think there was contact. I think he just snapped.
Oh my.
And there's no safety car.
That is just very unfortunate for the Renault squad. Tup Tuss retiring in the pit lane as well. So we are now down to 16 drivers from 20.
Well, that was a very, very dramatic few corners. So, there we go. Into, we're on lap 30 now. We're well and truly past where we would have been had we been in a 50% race. And I think we're seeing that now, Striff, that just the toll, should I say, for lack of a better word, just trying to do this lap after lap causes Tuptus's car has come out of the pit lane, it would seem, and Neon and Darko having to get past it there.
Sindako, very slow right now. Has there been a VSC? What? Were my eyes deceiving me?
I don't know if he was slowing up because I think Neon might have got caught behind that car that came out of the pit lane for Tuptus.
Running wing damage on the front right.
I think Neon got hit by that AI car, or hit it. Yeah, Neon front wing damage when Tuptus came out of the pit lane. So it would seem that Neon very, very unlucky there with the car coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't know if he knew if there was a disconnected car coming out of the pit lane or not, but Neon, a driver who's done a very large amount of MRL racing, knows that we have ghosting disabled in these races for many a reason. So that drivers slow down through yellows and things like this. Very unfortunate that that's happened. He's coming into the pit lane now. And this grid has been massively separated over the course of these 31 laps. We've had one full safety car. I have to say, I think we should have had a second there.
It's an interesting one because I felt like in real life that would have been at least a VSC. It was close to the marshal post and the exit road so that they could have get that car cleared away quickly, but that doesn't mean it wasn't in a dangerous spot. But this isn't the real world. This is the virtual road, so obviously there's no lives at risk. Henners, well, he took those hards, 31 laps. He comes out on fresh mediums in 10th place with all but 2 of the cars ahead needing to make a pit stop, with Brainstew possibly making another. Brainstew with Neon having to pit for a new front wing strip. His strategy is going from good to brilliant. He is absolutely just incredible right now, and his strategy is really working out for him. I want to see where he ends up. Neon, though, is he going to undercut here? He sets fastest sector 2 of the race. It won't be fastest lap as he passes Remco Van Putten down into turn 11. Williams, well, he's recorded in the pit lane, I believe, earlier on. Finally leaves the session, but maybe just engineering someone for a brief moment. Henners on fresh tyres. Captain Miner ahead of him in the Haas on 20 lap old mediums. It won't be long until we see the rest of these mediums come into the pit lane either. I think it'll be about 2 laps if they're going for the mediums to the end, unless they want sauce to the end. Then they're going to have to stretch those tyres a little bit further. Squid picks up a 3-second time penalty. Henners is past the Hask with ease, and he's got DRS keeping him ahead down into the hairpin. And Captain Miner does not go for a move, and it would probably been impossible anyway. But there we are. Henna's up into P9 on those fresh mediums. 12 seconds the gap to anyone ahead. Like I said, it won't be too long until they're into the pits themselves.
Yeah, I'm keen to see where Henners drops out in all of the pit stops that have yet to come. Same with Neon.
Yeah, Neon being in 6th with a wing change really goes to show the strength of the drive he's having, and also bodes well for Sindaku as well, because he is going to come out in a very, very impressive place when he pits, because he doesn't need a front wing change. So when he goes into the pits, he's going to be in a brilliant, brilliant position.
With that crossover now, that little bit of a lull. 2.8 the gap for Neon to Daniel in 5th position. Daniel on the 25 lap old mediums.
Sindaku's in. When does he come out? That's the question on my mind. I imagine the question on many people's mind. He will come out ahead of Neon. Pretty much guaranteed, unless Neon has had the lap of his life. Here he comes. He's well ahead of Neon. Brilliant strategy from Sindaku right now. Teammate, some idiot. 3.4 seconds up the road. Neon, about 6 seconds behind him, with Daniel Manaf in between them, but he'll be into the pit lane sooner rather than later, because he's on 26 lap old mediums. Surprised he hasn't come in yet, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in at the end of this one, Striff.
Captain Miner on the way in now. Get a medium set off, and I imagine another set on. Take a look and see what tires he opts for here. Bit of hards to the end.
Has he only been on mediums at this?
I think he might have, yeah.
He has. He started on the mediums and he's pitted for another set of mediums. How long has he been on those? Because that seems like an odd choice.
Neon in range of Daniel now. Half a second the gap. DRS surely enabled for the McLaren. Look at the run of speed here. No battery at the disposal of Neon right now. He's been utilizing, I imagine, all of it, getting himself caught up to where he was. And who could blame him? Jason on the way out now. Where's he going to land? Sindaku has passed him. Neon coming down the straight. See what the gap will be. Dason coming out now. Fresh mediums. Remco Van Putten, 23 lap old hards within 3 seconds. Sector 2, yellow flag. There's another Ferrari. Yeah, well, Williams has retired this race. The other Ferrari's had an issue, and I have to say it has been a horrid race for the Scuderia.
Yeah, Yasko spun in the same place Alex Budd did. This time, though, keeping out of the wall. But the tyres, you can see it there. Still hot, but this time the slide not costing him, you know, the retirement, as it did Alex Budd, unfortunately, earlier in this race. And it feels like a long time ago since that incident occurred to bring out that safety car that we had on lap 10. Now lap 34 of 56, and the pit window is in full swing as Sindaku is closing in on his teammate big time. And I don't know, with it not really it doesn't matter in terms of who your teammate is. There's no constructors to fight towards it. Obviously points are recorded, but it's a community event, and Sindaku takes that position for himself. So it's sort of 20 teams, and it's all just the individuals who turn up on the evening.
I imagine there's a couple of little pairs, or, you know, even if they're not on the same team, running team dynamics in these races, having some fun. It's always a good time. Get into the racing action with your friends. You can get telemetry set up. You can have a lot of fun with these races. Remco on the way in now. See who else is on the way in. AEST loves to really get into the analyzing and the engineering aspect of the racing, and there's more to it than just driving. I mean, look at you and I, we're commentating these races, and I have a ton of fun doing it. Wouldn't trade it for anything, honestly, and get the occasional drive. Like you and I, we we each have our race a week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you mentioned it there, Rutenius, he's obviously very active in the chat right now, but us commentating and all these guys engineering, like you said, it's incredibly fun, but it's also incredibly useful. There's been, a lot of moments in those one races a week that we do where I've just remembered something that's happened in one of these races that we've watched, and it's just helped me a lot. I'm not the fastest driver, but when you watch a lot of these races and you're very actively involved, as Dace just breezes past Daniel Manav down into the hairpin. Very, very nicely done there. But it does, when you're race engineering, it provides you, you're so focused on the race like we are commentating it, that you do learn a lot about league racing. And I think that's another reason why a lot of these drivers, they like to partake in, the other. Jasko taps the rear of Dason as he comes out of the pit lane and he spins on exit.
Wow, I'm not sure what to say about that. I did not have the view of it.
He recovered pretty nicely. He didn't go for the full spin. Also, I think Squid just overtook Daniel Manaf, which strikes me as odd given that the other AlphaTauri is on the fresher compound tyre. So you'd think if team orders were into play, Squid would come past. So Daniel Manaf would be the on overtaking, but it's not the case right now. Squid just seems to have a little bit more pace, and he's been struggling on the straights, but 8th and 9th for the AlphaTauris right now, and they are sort of working together as a team, despite the fact that they don't really have to. But you love to see it.
Things have spaced themselves out. Penalties on the grid right now. I'm just trying to get a proper look at those. Brainstew has 3 seconds. Some idiot with 3 seconds. We have Neon, 3 seconds. Will Gibson, 6 seconds. Hanners has 6 seconds as well. Squid with 9. Remco with 3. Dark has 3. Baza has 6. And Yasko has 3. Sindako, Dason, Daniel Manaf, Fordor, Maka, Captain Minor, all without penalties.
Yeah, penalties could play a real role in this one. Sindako still keeping his nose clean, as well as Dason. So very, very strong sort of positions for them. And, well, what a run for Daniel Manaf into turn 1 on his teammate. I think that might have been team orders right there playing a role in that one, because Squid looked to the, just pulled over to the left, and it is. It's come across in chat that was team orders. And, well, there we go. Daniel Manaf in lead of things for the AlphaTauris. And they've had some decent battles this race, but they've just sort of been dropped on their own strift. They're on their own right now, and there's only 2 or 3 drivers ahead of them that are going to come into the pits. So they're in a weird situation where they're just with each other, but they're still not fighting each other. So trying to work together to claw some places back.
It's the tightest gap on grid right now, as there's a yellow flag in the hairpin. Baza seems to have had an issue. Not entirely sure what's going on with the Renault, trying to get a look at the front end wing of that car.
I think he might have just been trying to get out of the way of the faster cars.
Yeah, he might have been being lapped, yeah.
You do, and it is sort of fairly easy to get lapped, and particularly around China as well. If you have a bad start, you come in for an early pit stop. It's so easy to get lapped here on a 100% race. So it's not too surprising that we've got a couple people here a lap down, but the important thing is they're still going. You don't want to give up in something like this because you never know what happens in racing. Safety cars, we've seen one already. Obviously, on a track like this, it's unlikely that we see 2 safety cars in a race, let alone 1. So, but the possibility is always there. So it's nice to see those guys still going.
Brains
Four-door
to
sedan.
or as you said, yeah, 4-door into the pits here. What's he gone on to? A set of worn mediums. Brains to 4.2 ahead of Sindako.
Yeah, I'm looking. There's 18 laps left in this race. I reckon Brainstrew and some idiot are going to come in for softs. Somewhere about lap 43 or so, 43, 44. And well,
Will Gibson right now on the straight. Henner's having a little bit of a look at the rear of him, trying to figure out what way he wanted to go. A bit of a weave there. I don't know what else I'd say about that. Henner's on the inside now as Will's a little bit later on the brakes. Henner's trying to make short work of this Williams, and I think he'll get that move done.
Will Gibson's an interesting one right now because he has on 28 lap old mediums. And that's a lot of laps to do on that set of tyres. And if, well, it is possible because he's doing it right now. Dark's on the same, both Williams on a very long medium stint. This means that Brainstrew might not have to pit Striff. Brainstrew could stay out if these guys can get another few laps out of these.
Oh.
Guys, yeah, Bazza in the grass, braking board completely destroyed, and he's struggling to get that car back on track.
That was almost a car horizontal there. Fast movers coming through, and he's just gonna run off circuit here and just let everyone cruise on through. Neon into 4th position on the rear of some idiot now. He's looking at him into the hairpin. Neon with very little battery right now. Of course, he's been utilizing it to push as much as he can. The yellow flag still coming up through sectors now 2 and 3 for Bazza, slowing down for fast movers. Neon coming out of turn 16, using everything he's got. Try and get this car parked in front of the racing point.
Yeah, he's pushing hard, but I don't know if he needs to because of the tire difference here. But here he goes up the inside through turn 2, and he's just about clinging on around the outside of 3. It's going to be difficult though, but the traction that those mediums afford him should be enough, and it is, to get him up into that podium position ahead of some idiot who, well, he doesn't have to pit, I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him pit just because of the speed that he's going to lose on these hards. But at the same time, there's not too many cars behind him in close proximity, so he could just edge this one out as Barza has another trip off the track, and he's coming into the pits, and on only 13 lap old hards, this might be the retirement. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm not sure what he's, yeah, there it is. So he has opted to retire the car. 5 drivers now out of this campaign.
And it is tricky to keep a car going for this many laps in, you know, league racing. It's obviously not as physically intensive as the real life F1 drivers, but you know, these guys, they aren't professional athletes. They are just, you know, at home, and to focus your mind on one of these races, particularly if you're using a wheel, and there is that physical aspect. Even on a controller, it's a long time to just be going around the same track over and over again with the battles. It is a tiring experience, Drift. Even 50% races, but these 100% races take it to a whole nother level as Dark takes 4-door sedan for 13th place in Sector 2.
We've definitely had a lot of fun racing here in this one. We're on lap 41 out of 56. A little bit of fighting coming now as Dason hunting down some idiot. Massive tire wear difference here. I don't know how long The Racing Point is going to stay out on that 30 lap old set of hards. We saw Henner's come in, if I'm not mistaken, it was 31 that he had done on his.
Jason, some idiot. There it goes. DRS for the Mercedes as they run down towards the hairpin. And we've seen it time and time again. Whenever you watch a race around China, this is something you're sure to see. Pretty easy overtake into the hairpin with the assistance of DRS down that huge back straight.
I would say that's the number one overtaking spot here, without a doubt. Unless you, I mean, I see a lot of people going inside through turn 1.
Oh yeah, it's 100%. 14. It's so powerful. Because even if you don't get it on the entrance, there's always that opportunity for the switchback as well. Whereas 1, a lot of times, you know, you've seen Henner's. He's been a prime example. Someone's gone up his inside into turn 1, but you hold it around the outside for long enough, and you swing onto the inside of into the inside of 3, and it's all about the exit of the 4 as to whether someone takes the position. As there's a Ferrari, it's Jasko again, facing the wrong way.
Could be trouble.
At just that corner. Got it turned around just in time, but how are those tires? He's gonna have to take it very slowly down to 6.
That's just some bad luck for the Ferraris today. Spins and drive-through penalties have really plagued them today, and we'll have to see how they get on for the next round of the Endurance Series.
Yeah, right now, not too much left. 14 laps in this one, and with most people's pit strategies complete, particularly those who are, you know, up in the top spots. As Jasko spins again, he's done a beautiful pirouette through 13, but I don't think that's what he wants to be doing. And well, he's off the track. He's got it off the track, and he's really those tires are gone after just 5 laps in that Ferrari. He's struggling so hard in that car. I don't know if it's a setup error or what, but there it is, a 10-second time penalty. You've got to say it's all over for him. And props to him for sticking around for this long, but it is so difficult to get back into it now. Even in the safety car, I think it would be all over for him. It's been a tough race for Jasko and the Ferrari squad as a whole.
Without a doubt. Big question I want to ask is, are we going to see Brainstew or some idiot pit here? Sindako now within range of Brainstew. There's Jasko with the retirement. Brainstew with DRS to hold off Sindako here with the back marker ahead of him. Sindako actually did not get DRS.
Here's the thing. Some idiot, if he pitted for softs, I think he would get his position back. Whether he could fight again for the positions ahead of him, not so sure. But he's got a penalty to contend with. So right now, that 23-second window behind him, what does he want to use it for? Does he want to use it for a pit stop? Or does he want to use it to just slowly take this one, you know, to the end? I think just because of the punctures, obviously we can't see what his tire wears on, which would be lovely, but you know, there's no visible graining on them. The game doesn't do too much to visualize that, but there's nothing there. Sometimes you can see the wear when it gets particularly bad. So I think he could take them to the end, but it's 23 seconds ahead of us, so he can come into the pits lane. And, well, looking at the penalties, he's only got 3 seconds. The biggest problem there would be Daniel Manaf, who's also only got 3 seconds. Everyone else down there in that block with the black and white flag next to their name has got more than 3 seconds. So he would be safe if he pitted. The problem for Brainstew is he's not got that luxury. If he pitted, he would be down behind some idiot if some idiot didn't pit, and he would have to climb back into P1. He also has a penalty. It's only 3 seconds. And right now he'd finish in second. So the problem is, I don't know if those mediums can get to the end of the race. It's so tight, but I think he could push it. And if I was him, I think if I was looking at the tire wear and thought I could make it to the end, I would just push and just try and hold those tires out to that checkered flag.
I think that might be the call. We'll have to see here what happens. Lap 45 now beginning, as Brainstew and Sindako within 1 second of each other. Take us through the first sector of this circuit. Brainstew coming through some traffic ahead of him in the McLaren, a 4-door sedan. Take a look back at this grid, and the amount of time differential in the grid and the difference in tire strategy really do paint a picture here. You look at the tires all through the grid. I can't see a single driver on the same tire life tires, with the exception of Captain Minor and Dason, 10 lap old each.
Yeah, and I think if Henner's and
Neon, and we have Henner's and
closer.
13 lap old. It's just so much differential.
Yeah, it's just, that's what the 100% races, this endurance series brings out, is that those differences in strategies, because not only do you have, there's more strategies available. We've seen the medium hard one stop, we've seen the hard medium one stop, and then obviously there's the people who started on soft, who are going soft, medium. There's a whole host of things that change this.
The move, Brainstew with the defense on the inside. We're trying to get the camera for it. It's not giving it to us. Brainstew, Sindako, a drag race coming out of the hairpin. Brainstew holding on the inside right now against the Racing Point. Sindako with the DRS on exit now. A superb run here for lead of this race now to the outside line into turn 1. Brainstew holding with everything he's got on the inside now. Through turn 1, now through turn 2. Sindako on the inside as we come through turn 3, and you talked about that earlier. If you can just hold around that second turn long enough, you get that inside through 3 and 4, and look at Sindako now leading this race. No penalties on him, and he has the fresher rubber.
Yeah, just that 12 lap old, it's almost basically, I think it's a 9 lap difference there. It's just so paramount when you come out of a corner like that. It's so apparent that you just see some idiot at Sindako, tear away, and now look, the gap's almost 8/10 already. Those tires are really dying for Brainstew. The problem is there's only 10 laps in this race left. I don't think taking the pit stop is worth it. I really don't, because Neon, even if Neon catches, he'd have to get ahead by 3 seconds right now. So, Jason, Neon, are they a threat to Brainstew? Yes. But I don't see them catching by the end of this race. It's possible, but I don't see them catching and doing enough damage. So Brainstew's still on for a podium. He just needs to make sure that these old tyres don't force him into a mistake, because that's something we've seen before. But Brainstew, an experienced driver, and I see him being fully capable of walking away with a trophy today.
We'll just have to see how it plays out. Dason's just hovering around that 1.5 range on Neon. Dason without the penalties. Neon, Brainstew with the penalties is, of course, what could play a very significant role in this. Dason, if he's able to catch Neon, that would be crucial here. But Neon's been showing some good pace, even with the hiccup he had in the wing damage. I believe it was Tuss and the AI car coming out of the pit lane for the Mercedes that caused that with Neon. I'm not entirely exactly sure how that went down.
Yeah, and well, he's done well to recover it, but he would be on for probably the win, to be honest, if he didn't have that extra time added with that wing change. And then obviously he had to push a little bit harder to try and get back past, and he's had a few fights that he wouldn't have had. So just things like that, it's not necessarily Neon's fault. We didn't see it too well. We just saw it on sort of the track map. But when something like that happens, it's just, you've got to get on with it. And it's such a long race that things like that, you can recover from them. Neon here, for him, hasn't really recovered from it to the position he was in, but he's done well to get back to where he is, and he's still on for a podium finish, but he needs to he needs to catch brain stew for it, really, and he's not doing that. So I think we might see him in 4th place this year.
See if he can catch it up. 1.1 now. The gap. See if he's got what it takes to hunt down the McLaren and potentially, well, 2nd position. Daniel Munoff now 7th position in range of Henner's. Henner's 5-lap older rubber. He does have DRS. He got himself in that range nicely as we come into turn 1. Jason's just dancing around that DRS range.
Yeah, and getting within these, that DRS range is so critical. And he needs to stay there. And right now, he's, like you said, dancing on it. I think he missed it. I think he missed it by about 300ths there. Let's see. I don't think he's got it. I think he missed it, Striff. He does not have DRS on Neon. And Neon, well, he actually didn't get it on 4-door sedan, but he get a nice little slipstream off of his teammate for the evening.
Jason wanting that DRS badly. Will he have it here? Yes. 13-lap-old, 14-lap-old mediums versus the 17-lap-old mediums. No battery for either driver. This is going to be a battle to the end.
It's all, just sort of coming down to that final few laps, and in the endurance series, this is sort of, it's a little bit different, the final few laps. Everyone's a little bit more spaced out than they would be typically. Will Gibson on fresh soft just got passed by Maka. So I don't know if he's got a little bit of an issue in that. Williams is Squid Remco. Squid's in. Squid's coming into the pits maybe for fastest lap.
Well, he has quite the gap to Maka behind him. He might be able to get in and get out, get that fastest lap, be safe, have a nice comfy drive to the end.
Yeah, the softs plenty of life in them to make that, work.
Will Gibson,
yeah, we are getting
Maka.
that confirmation from that pit wall.
Will Gibson and Maka exchanging out of the hairpin. Will Gibson getting that 10th position. Back from Maka.
Jason. Well, I don't know what he did on this lap, but he's caught Neon very quickly, and looking around the outside now at the hairpin, Neon is going to give him as little room as he can get away with. But Jason is on the ERS at the perfect moment out of the hairpin and just slides through into the final corner. He's ahead of the Mercedes right now, but Neon is just on the gearbox of that Mercedes. He's got to run down onto the outside of turn 1. It's side by side through here. The Mercedes on the inside, the McLaren on the outside, and he's holding right now on the inside of turn 3. But Dayson, I think he's going to get a better exit here and lets Neon. Oh, there's a bit of a slide from Dayson, and that lets the Dutchman through. Neon up into P3. Dayson drops down to P4, but Dayson, no penalties for him. This is brilliant news for Brain Stew. And Dayson just needs to keep Neon right where he is within 3 seconds. Actually, within 6 seconds. So, very, very nicely stuff from Dayson to just keep Neon battling and to age Neon tires as well, because Neon's tires are 3 laps older. Fighting doesn't do anything good for tire wear. So, can really help Dayson here. He's doing a lot of good stuff here.
That shakeout of the 3rd, 4th turn there. That slide causing him to have to try and recover the tires now and reset for an opportunity. He's within DRS range, but I don't think he needs to push the situation that hard. He's able to apply pressure and potentially save here. Is he going to go up the inside? No. So he's holding for the moment. Maybe his mistake was trying it into that hairpin. Maybe he wants to bide his time and get it done through turn 1.
Yeah, he doesn't need the overtake to happen. He can just win it on penalties if he just stays within 6 seconds of Neon and You'll always, you see people, they always sort of fall back on that fact. But at the same time, it doesn't bring you the satisfaction. Finishing on the podium on track and finishing on the podium with penalties, it's a little bit of a different feeling. Obviously, you still earned the podium, regardless of whether you finished in third on track or not. But if you didn't finish third on track, it's just not as exciting for the drivers. He wants that pass. He wants to make sure that everyone knows that he did rightfully finish in third. I think that's fair enough. But at the same time, at the end of the day, right now, he is in that podium spot.
Daniel on the rear of Henners for 6th position. 5 laps the difference on the tires, and he's been hunting him for some time. He will have DRS on this lap to try and get him. Squid, well, he's on softs with Remco Van Putten in range of him.
I'm bringing attention to some idiot right now. He has been putting in some serious laps on those hard tires. 40 laps. That's a very, very impressive stint. Meanwhile, Brains Juice still out. 27 laps on those mediums. I wonder whether we'll see puncture from either of them. For their sake, I hope not, but at the same time.
Here goes Remco on the inside of Squid. Tight wheel-to-wheel exchanging. Dason and Neon the same. Gonna jump to the front end battle because it's, well, through turn 1. Very nice battling here. Everybody side by side between Neon, Dason, Remco, and Squid.
Still going at it as they come out of turn 6. Well, I think Neon's just about holding on to the position. But Dason doesn't need it, like I said, but now he doesn't need it, but he has got it. He is ahead in that Mercedes. Squid, Remco still exchanging. Remco, again, Squid just losing out on this long straight. I'm assuming Remco had DRS, so I'll give Squid the benefit of that this time, but it just hasn't looked good coming out of turn 13 at all.
See what Neon does now. He'll have an opportunity with DRS. We'll see if Dason has DRS on the car ahead of him. I think he may. No, he does not. Dason under threat now. Of course, as he said, Dason, he doesn't need the position. It's a penalty equation for these guys.
Not too many laps left.
Oh! What has he done? The McLaren coming out of turn 16. I can't believe we've just watched that. Unbelievable.
Well, there goes somebody just breezing past, and I said it at the start of this one, Striv. This would be the ultimate test of the improvement in Neon's consistency that we've seen. And to be honest, if this was a 50% race, absolutely beautiful performance from him. He did have that issue with the car coming out of the pit lane, but other than that, it's been a pretty flawless race from him. But now, on lap 53, he's just gone and done that. He's lucky that he hasn't retired the car after that one. But there goes all hopes of a podium. And some idiot, well, with only 3 seconds of time penalties, even with that tire disadvantage, I don't see Neon extending a 3-second gap on him. It would be 9 seconds he would have to find. So.
How is he still going here?
Some idiot.
How is Neon still driving that car after that crash? He hit the wall. Double, maybe triple the speed Alex Bud hit the wall, and we saw
a lot of damage.
Bud's whole suspension came off.
Yeah, he is very lucky. I think it's just how you hit the wall and the game's way of detecting that incident. But he's got a lot of damage, and he's got to be careful here that he doesn't. He's got 6 seconds. 6 seconds of penalties. Hennings has got 9, so should be right from him. But Daniel Manaf, he's got to be careful. Neon's gone super wide. He's struggling big time in that McLaren. I don't know if he can even hold fifth.
He's dropped 9 seconds to Henners this lap, I believe. You know, Henners has Daniel hunting him down, and Henners with a late move to the inside. Late on the brakes as well. Big lunge from him. Daniel starts laughing. as he has the maximum traction on the exit.
Oh, Neon into the pit lane. Presumably softs to the end with that new front wing. Yep, there it is. He drops to Henners. He's gonna... I think he's good. I think he's just gonna drop to Henners. Good call from him, just to cover that off. He just needs to stay 3 seconds ahead of Remco, and P7 is the best he's gonna get. Unlucky for the Dutchman, but my goodness, what a way to end this race. That was just so unexpected.
Jason has made up 17 positions in this race. Henners!
He's out.
What? What has happened? Why?
I didn't see it, but that's not a place you expect someone to come off of the track. I don't think we're gonna. I think we're too close to the end of the race to see a safety car anyway, but I don't think we would have anyway because he's far off of the track. But my goodness, what is going on? I think just that the endurance series, you know, people would have been done half a race ago in typical league racing situation. It's not boding well for them. It is not boding well for them at the end of this one. Henners drops out. Neon back up into 6th place. I'm sure he's pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty pretty confused with that. But we have Sindaco now on the penultimate lap of this race with a clear-cut lead, 6.2 seconds over the Italian counterpart in Brainstew, driving that Alfa Romeo. 5.8 the gap behind him to Dason.
Oh no, Remco Van Putten could beat Neon here if he... Oh, no. I think he just picked up... he just picked up a penalty to make that impossible. He was 9/10 off of Neon in terms of penalties, but now it's even Stevens. But Mike, what a race. As Sindaco crosses onto the final lap. And I've got to give it to him. It's been a superlative drive. From him, Brainsuit, his fellow countryman. Well, he's had a drive and a half as well, Striff. As they're both on the final lap. Jason too. This is going to be a... If those three finish on the podium as it looks like they will, it's going to be an impressive podium. That was such a good race.
Daco, Brainstew, Dason slated to be your top three here. What a race, as you said, and they have gained a good chunk of positions. Well, Sindaco, he started on this front row, and he's gone from second to first, to the lead of things. Brainstew, he has made up 5 positions. Dason from the back, the absolute back of this grid, 20th position where he began, into 3rd. It has worked out very well for him in this one.
Neon, another 3-second time penalty. I think Remco's too far behind to take... Yeah, he is. Remco's dropped a lot of time. As Sindaco making his way through the hairpin for the final time this evening. And if all goes well for him through the final corner, which it does, Sindaco, what a race. The Racing Point takes the checkered flag first. No penalties for him. Brainstew, not enough penalties to make a difference as he weaves in celebration to take P2, and Dason from last on the grid takes the final spot on the podium. What a race for these guys.
Been a very, very long campaign. 56 laps of racing have now concluded for these drivers as they take the checkered flag here in Shanghai, and it's Sindaco, Brainstew, and Dason, the top 3 for this one. Racing Point, Alfa Romeo, and Mercedes for round 2 of the Misfits Endurance Series. And I do believe, without any shot of doubt, Dason will be getting the game awarded Driver of the Day for 17 positions gained over the course of this race. 13 drivers, Finishing this one as Henners, Yasko, Baza, Domi, Tuptus, Williams, and Alex Budd all unfortunately retiring out of this one. Some as a result of crashing, some as a result of dropping back and being fed up with their race.
Well, just congratulations to them all for finishing as well. It's just, there's a lot of people who didn't make it to the end of this one. I think 13 drivers finishing at the end of it. And like you said, Dason picking up driver of the day, and very well deserved, from last on the grid. I said it earlier, I expected him to make his way through the grid. I didn't expect him to make himself that high up. Third place for him, but Sandako, what a drive from the racing point. First place. It's an Italian 1-2 with Brainstew in second.
A fun race to watch. I was really happy with this one. There it is, the classification. Once again, Sandako with the race win. Brainstew with the second position finish on the podium from 7th, and it was Dason from 20th to 3rd for this one. Fastest lap of the campaign, Neon, a 1:30.588. He started the race on pole position. Had an issue near the end, and who knows, we may have seen him in a winning position had he not taken damage earlier in the race. It was very dynamic for quite a few drivers in this one, but a very good one to say the least. So, Sandako, Brainstew, we have Dason in the top 3. We had some idiot in 4th from 9th. Daniel dropped back from 4th to 5th. Neon started in 1st, dropped to 6th. We had Remco 12th to 7th here. He had a very good start to this race. Squid 6th, drops back to 8th. Will Gibson in 9th. He started this race in 17th. Good drive for him. 15th position for 15th positions where Macca started. He dropped to 10th. Well, he got into 10th is what we'll say for that final point. Four-door sedan. 10th position is where he began. He drops back 1 into 11th. Captain Minor 12th. Dark 13th. Henners 14th with a very interesting crash. He actually gets classified 3 laps down. Yasko 15th position. Baza 16th. Domi 17th. Tuptus in 18th. Williams 19th. And it was Alex Budd with the very early retirement causing the safety car.
Well, that was China. It wasn't Imola, but I think I can't say anyone could be disappointed with the race we got here at Shanghai, and it's about time we got to 100% race around here, and but definitely delivered. It was the strategy here. I think the strategy here works so much better for a 100% race drift. Those softs, they die out too quickly in the 50%, but here in the 100% race, all 3 tires viable in their own way, and that's how it should be. So I loved that. The strategy there really made that a really brilliant race to watch. Uh, 12:30 in the afternoon, so midday, just 12:30 in the afternoon, so midday there, and it's 1:30 Central European time. So if you're in Europe, that's the time to be around for APAC, and it should finish just before round 2 of Formula 1 action IRL at Imola, and then obviously F2 in the evening with myself and Alex Biddo. And that, if all goes well, should be over on the YouTube channel for the first time.
my fingers are pretty bad actually. I mean, it's so stressful to do so many laps on a pad, but I like it.
Here's my mic was muted there. Technical difficulties. Love to hear it. And my entire spiel at the end was not heard. But of course, it's great to have you here, Sindaku. It was an amazing race to watch for Unicorn and I. It was a second position start for you. What were your thoughts coming into such a long race given your qualifying position?
Yeah, I decided to do just 2 runs to save a set of softs that in the end was useless because I didn't need to use that. But I had to manage Neon. Then he got 3 seconds and that's it. Then he got screwed by the back markers. When he got released after a guy retired in the pit lane, the car got released and got in the way. It was unfortunate. I also wanted to wait for him, but he damaged his wing, so he had to pit, and that's it. Then I had to catch Brains too, but his tires were dead, and I had so much tire advantage that it was very, very easy. I was just cruising and catching, and then I enjoyed the overtake, and that's it. Race done.
Congratulations, Sindaku. Unicorn, do you have any questions for our race winner this evening?
Well, Sindaku, again, huge congratulations just on Monster Drive. You mentioned there, obviously, your fingers are a little bit tired after that one, but the endurance race, how much different is it just in terms of driving and, preparation compared to the normal league races, the 50% ones? Because obviously you've won here today and it's just a different sort of whole different strategy. How does that,
Yeah, strategy is very different because the undercut is not that powerful. Because if you do an undercut by 5 laps, for example, it's going to come back at you very hard, like in Brainstew's case, for example. Tire advantage is crucial in 100% races because you have so many laps, and also you're not forced to do one stop. I think that you must do in basically every 50% race. It's also very, very hard to race with the full tank basically at the beginning of the race. It's incredible. It's so weird. I mean, the bumps and the understeer, it's very different.
Well, you managed it all very well, and again, just huge congratulations, a mega drive from you, and no penalties as well. Just really tops it off. So, superlative drive, and very well done.
Yeah, it was good fun. Up to the next one.
Thank you so much, Sindaku, for joining us for an interview. That is all we have time for today, everyone, and we hope to see you tomorrow for the APAC, as that will be, as Unicorn said, at 12:30 p.m. BST. That's 1:30 in the afternoon for those in Central Europe, I believe, and that will be a very good race around Silverstone, just ahead of the Grand Prix. Any last remarks from you, Unicorn, before we jump out and rate a member of the stream community?
Just again, I'm very happy we finally got a 100% race around China, and it very much delivered. And big thank you to all the drivers community event. It's nice to see a few different names out there, a bit of a bunch of drivers from all different grids in the MRL, as well as just members of the community. So awesome fun to watch. Again, big congratulations to all of the drivers who were in that one, particularly the ones who finished a 100% race. It's no small feat, and obviously thank you to everyone for watching along at home. But that's all from me, Striff. It's been fun, and I'll be around tomorrow for a very, very busy day in the world of Formula 1 and MRL.
Have a great night, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.